Hey guys, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hop on and lead us through review for tomorrow's test, or Thursday's test if you're a B-Day. Um, if you would, go ahead and get out your Geology exam review. If you don't have yours with you, if you didn't opt out for the paper copy, you can go to Google Classroom like I am right here. And you can click on Geology exam review here and then download it where you can type in the answers on Word document. So if you want to do that, you can click here. It will show you a screen like this. You're going to go to these three little buttons over here on the right hand corner. Click open a new window, and then you will get the option to download the review. When you download it, it will allow you to write on it because it's a Word document. But to get there, I wanted you to go through those steps. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the matching and I'm going to highlight some of the main important problems that I think you're going to have trouble on, and then we'll wrap it up. So like I said in class, the first part of the test is matching. And these first, I want to say maybe 9 matching vocabulary words are from your vocabulary flashcards that you did at the very beginning of the unit. So we made those Google Slide vocabulary cards to help you practice. And I know that mineral, precipitation, polymorphs, rock, igneous rock, sedimentary rock, metamorphic rock, rock cycle, Permian Basin, and fossil fuels are all in those vocabulary flashcards. The ones that are not on there are non-renewable resource, erosion, disposition, rock maturity, and Pangea. So those you can either Google or you can look through your notes to find these vocabulary words. But they're pretty easy. So for instance, non-renewable resource. A non-renewable resource is a resource that will not be renewable in our lifetime. So it takes about 1 million years to create, just like oil. Erosion, disposition, rock maturity. Erosion and disposition are in those mineral notes that you took a long time cutting and pasting. Rock maturity just means that that rock has very tiny sediments. It's not like a big chunky rock. They're very fine. You can barely see the sediments. And then Pangea is the supercontinent that once connected all the continents together. So like today, a lot of the continents are separated by oceans, but before then we were all one landmass, which is pretty cool. And that's Pangea. And so those are all going to be matching. You'll have the definition in the bank, and then you'll just match the letter to the definition. Moving forward to short answer. So a lot of these are from your exit tickets. So I pretty much copied and pasted from your exit tickets that you guys had from class. We had those open note quizzes. And so these questions are mainly from that. And if you have any trouble, you're welcome to look at those in your notes. But they're fairly easy. And honestly, if you get stuck on any of these questions, check up here in the matching section on the test and see if you find your answer in the definition bank. I like to hide answers in the test, and so and see who really is paying attention, because there is a lot of answers that you can just refer to if you get stuck on any of these short answer questions. One of the big things that I think you're going to struggle on is this question right here. Explain the difference between mineral and a rock. So if you remember, minerals are the pure substance. They're just a chemical in a solid form. So there's for instance, sulfur is a mineral, and in many cases you can find sulfur pieces in rocks. Rocks are just like a big mass of maybe lava rock or from different maybe transformations, but it's not a pure substance. Rocks have many minerals in them, but minerals are the pure substance. So that's really the difference. So you could say something like this. Minerals are the pure substance, while rocks have many minerals in them. They're two different things. So just keep that in mind as you are working through everything. Minerals, number 2, I feel like you may struggle on this one. How do they form? Well, they form inside the earth through heat and pressure and chemical changes. That's how they form. Igneous rocks, this, I feel like you're going to do pretty well in this, so I'm not too concerned about igneous rocks. Maybe this part right here, what type of mineral do you find in intrusive igneous rocks? You can say quartz or feldspar, any of those would work. And let's see here. How are both types of igneous rocks formed? Let's head over to their geology, and I'm going to show you this here. So intrusive igneous rocks, they crystallize inside the earth. So let's look at this little diagram right here. As you can tell, it's pointing to granite, and it's forming inside the earth. It needs time to cool slowly and crystallize. So anytime you see a granite rock, you're going to see big crystals, which is quartz or feldspar, in that rock because it had time to grow. It like needs, like, it's kind of like the oven, right? So you got to put a cake in the oven in order to bake. However, extrusive igneous rocks, they crystallize at the Earth's surface. So if you can look right here at our little diagram, that there is explosion going on and then there is a lava flow. Those are extrusive igneous rocks. So basalt or maybe pumice would be an example of extrusive. Obsidian, lava glass, that's formed by lava, cooling lava, quickly cooling lava. That's the two different types of igneous rocks. So if you have any trouble there, you can look at those notes. Moving to sedimentary, I feel like this is going to be pretty easy for you. 4 and 5 may be difficult. So how can you tell if a sedimentary rock is mature? So if you refer back to the notes, I have a diagram here that shows a rock that is immature and a rock that is mature. So these right here, conglomerate, is very chunky. You can see large pebbles inside of it. As it increases in maturity, meaning that it further erodes and becomes more of a sedimentary rock, it turns into clay. So there's very tiny minerals in mature rocks. That's how you can tell if a rock is mature. Is through that. A sedimentary rock is through that has very fine sediments. Okay, moving on to metamorphic rocks. One more, number 5. Why does the sedimentary rock limestone react to HCl acid? Because of calcite. So calcite causes hydrochloric acid to react, and it fizzes on top of the rock. That's how you know it's a limestone rock. Metamorphic rocks, moving on there. What is the difference between foliated and non-foliated rocks? I feel like that's going to be a difficult one. So let's check over to our notes. And I explained this a little bit in our notes here. So metamorphic rocks, there's 2 types, foliated and non-foliated. Foliated rocks have really pretty bands on them, just like they call them banded, or I call them stripes. So you can see there's like specific stripes on this rock, whereas this quartzite does not have any stripes on it. So you know it's non-foliated. So foliated rocks have stripes, non-foliated rocks have no stripes. And this is mainly because foliated metamorphic rocks come from a rock that has 2 or more minerals in it. So for instance, granite rock, you can see the dark and white spots on it. These are 2 different types of minerals, and whenever they're compressed through heat and pressure, they turn into these really pretty lines, and they show 2 different colors, which is white and black. And as you can see here in the parent rock, or the protolith, it has white and dark spots too as well. Now, non-foliated rocks only come from a parent rock with 1 mineral type. So limestone has 1 mineral, it's calcite, and marble, when it's through heat and pressure, it turns into marble. And marble does not have any foliation or any banding in it or lines. It's just 1 mineral because it has 1 type of colored mineral in it. It's not like white and black minerals or many minerals inside the rock that makes these really pretty lines. It's just 1 mineral inside of it. So that's the 2 things that, the 2 characteristics. One, foliated has lines, non-foliated is not. Foliated has more than 2 minerals. Non-foliated only has 1 mineral. And those are the 2 things that you'll describe. Okay, moving forward. So we are now at this diagram here. So we did a class representation of what is happening in this picture here. Okay, so we have the granite rock here, and then through heat and pressure, as you can tell, these minerals line up and they create these lines just like you see here. So imagine being compressed and squeezed. This rock, like an accordion, transforms, and it has these really nice lines here. So this is an igneous rock, but through heat and pressure, it turns into metamorphic rock. Okay, the last couple of questions I want to cover. Discussion question. These are very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this Word document so I can type on here and show you what I'm talking about. So these are discussion questions, and I want you guys to write a paragraph. So for instance, the first question says, explain how oil and gas form. I also had some notes talking about a recipe for oil and gas. I'm going to go ahead and just slide this over here so we can look at two things at once. So we go through the Permian Basin. We learned about how oil and gas form, which is very interesting, very important for you to know since we're living in an oil-rich land. So here's the notes that I was talking about. So oil forms from once dead organic matter, or once living organic matter. So here's a sample response you can write. So oil and gas is created. Oil and gas is created by dead organic matter, which basically means old dead things, okay? Usually marine life. So by dead organic matter that sunk, or that was buried, I cannot type today. Buried in millions of years ago. So oil and gas is created by dead organic matter that was buried millions of years ago. Once these dead things died, they fell to the bottom of an ancient ocean or body of water. Over time, it through heat and pressure, the dead organic matter turned into oil and gas. All right, and there is your response. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this in yellow so you can see it better. About 3 sentences, and of course you want to expound on that, you're welcome to. The next question is, explain how oil and gas formed here in the Permian Basin. So you could say something like this. Over 200 million years ago, there was an ancient inland sea covering most of the Permian Basin. There was a rich coral reef, or a large coral reef, and with thriving organisms. When Pangea came together, it cut off the water flow into the Permian Basin Sea. Because there was no water flow, because there was no more water flow, the sea dried up through evaporation. All the marine life died and fell to the bottom of the two basins. Over time, sediment covered the marine life, compressing it and heating it. Eventually, it turned into oil and gas. And that can be your answer right here. I'll highlight that for you. And so you can take a look at this. These are two good, put D twice, two really good discussion questions that you can use on your test. So that should help. I can also post this too as well if you need a little extra, if I'm going too fast. You can look at it again. Finally, you'll do identification. So I'll go over this before class starts so you don't feel like you're really, you'll be able to really identify these rocks very easily. So I'll go over that in class. And then the finally two things you're going to have to do is label igneous, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rock in the rock cycle, which is only 3 of those, which is pretty easy. And then finally, you will label the Permian Basin major geological regions. So Midland Basin, Delaware Basin, Val Verde, Eastern, Northwestern Shelf, and El Capitan Trend, and then finally the Central Basin Platform. So only those 7 things you'll have to label. Other than that, that's it. I think you guys are going to do awesome. We will, before we start our test, I'll go over it again just to make sure you feel good about everything. But study tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow.